started making names right away. And I loved it. I was robbing drug dealers, taking their gold right off their neck. And the shit we did, who's going to call the police on you? A drug dealer?
I can identify with anything that was normal, to be honest with you. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
99% of the time, you're going to disagree.
Just like the Donnie Brasco situation with Lefty.
Yeah, because the reason why, they figure it this way. You brought this guy around, he ratted on everybody, now he ratted on you. You might turn around and join him and rat on us, so we get rid of you, there's no connection between there and there, and they get rid of you.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about Jeff Nadu stealing other people's content and using it as his own. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. I appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch my show. Things are moving in a great direction. What's up, Westies? How are you? So let's get into it. Jeff Nadu, he has this sit-down podcast. And it seems that Mr. Nadu has been stealing content from Mob Talk Radio. That's MTR. That's Jeff Canarsie. And it's really hilarious that he thinks he can get away with things like this. It's crazy that people think they can get away with taking other people's content like it's their own. It's insane. How are you, Red? Nick, how are you? Bat Boy, what's up, bro? So I can show you. Let me share a video with you real quick. Hold on, I want to shake this. I want to give a shout out to Mob Talk Radio. And there's a link for his video in the description of this video if you guys want to check it out and you guys can see it for yourself. 1 second.
And now it's time for Mob Talk Radio with your host, Jeff Canarsie.
How are you, Cindy? What's up, RV Docs? How are you, my friend? I haven't really been on too much because I've been working so much. I've been so busy. There's a lot of really good things coming in the future. If you guys didn't see the song that I dropped recently, let me get my headphones. I'll be right back. Yo, can you hear me? All right.
YouTube and RC. And I'm just going to get right to the point. Jeff Nadu is the biggest thief on YouTube. He has been for years now.
Can you guys hear this good? Can everyone hear this okay?
And I've ignored this for months and months and months. Now, Jeff Nadu, a couple of years ago, subscribed to my podcast, probably like 2 years when I went to the pay. And I didn't think about anything at first because I just figured if he wants to pay for it, he's going to pay for it. And here's the facts. I began getting massive amounts of emails from people that listen to his iTunes show and people who listen to him on YouTube. And everybody kept coming back to me for months saying, this guy is stealing your work. And I ignored it for a long time. And I ignored it because, listen, here's the truth. The mob genre is small. And a lot of people cover a lot of different things. And so about a year and a half ago, I made a switch. And if you listen to my paid podcast, then you would understand exactly what I'm about to say to you.
Appreciate that.
I cover things nobody talks about. I cover aspects of organized crime nobody talks about. Sure.
And Jeff's completely right about that. He has like outside the realm of content of what other people have. And for someone to think that they can get away with taking your content and using it like word for word too, it's crazy. He tried to take it word for word. I'm gonna leave you guys a link for.
We can all talk about John Gotti and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. If you are a member of my paid podcast, you would know I talk about the mafia in Central PA. Nobody does. I talk about all of the pizza connection and stuff that was going on in Central PA and Pelham and in York and everywhere else that nobody's ever talked about. I go out and I spend thousands of dollars a month getting Pacer files to do my work. So when I started to hear that Nadu was stealing my material, I would often tell people, well, listen, if he's covering John Gotti, if he's covering this one, if he's covering that one, you know, it is what it is. We all cover the same thing. And they said, no. He is covering stuff that's on your paid podcast, which he has no access to. And that's a problem. Not only that, but if you go to my paid, if I were to lay this out in front of you and you go to my paid podcast, you will see that I will discuss X, Y, and Z. And then about 4 or 5 days later, Jeff Nadu mysteriously puts a video out verbatim, saying the exact same thing about a topic that is not public.
All right, you guys heard what he just said, right? So let's get into this, shall we? This is how we're gonna do it. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday out there. You know, Monday, tomorrow, Mugshot Monday. Don't get arrested this weekend because you'll end up on Mugshot Monday, and it ain't my fault. There's a lot of cases we're going to be going over. Me and Zay, we're going to be jumping on tomorrow, Mugshot Monday, so stay tuned for that.
Is he still connected to that world? I have no idea. Was he? I have an older photo, so I just threw that out. But it was a place you could go and have a good time at the shore. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Jerry Blavat is someone who came up in the music industry. He was, and Jerry has folks that look like this that go, and he has folks that may look like this, older, if you will. And I didn't mean to show Raymond Long John Martirano, but I didn't have an older photo, so I just threw that out. But it was a place you could go and have a good time at the shore. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Jerry Blavat is someone who came up in the music industry. He was a person who got his start as a valet driver for Don Rickles. He would ultimately become a world-renowned DJ. He had a show where he would essentially publish the music of all of his favorites, people that he had known, people that he had come up with, and he became a big-time guy around here. He ultimately would become someone who would get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is that right,
he was
Jeff?
actually the son of a Jewish bookmaker in South Philadelphia. He grew up on Bancroft Street. His mother was an
Where you get your information from, Jeff?
Italian. And he would talk about all the time that he found himself very alone a lot in his life, and he used the radio as a way to get through his youth, and really got into music very early on in his teens. And he would become very well known throughout Philadelphia, a DJ, a bon vivant, if you will. You'd always see him on the street. I saw him many times on the street, down Center City, on Market Street. He used to have an office, Peter Gold Radio. And I always remember one thing about Jerry Blavat. He knew everybody. Everybody. When you walked into Memories, he would look at you and tell you where you're from, right? So I remember my mother and father, we'd go there. I remember we'd go in, and if he saw me, he would say Ocean City. I was Ocean City, right? I lived in the Gardens, right over the bridge from Margate, essentially. So Memories, I'm sure, will still be around, but it will be a lot different. And I'll miss it. I'll miss Jerry. He's someone we thought probably would live forever. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the interesting side of Jerry Blavat. As a lot of you know, you've probably heard his name come up in certain Cosa Nostra investigations. I want it to be made clear.
What's
it
that?
has never been proven. Jerry Blavat is.
What's that? What's that, Jeff?
He was someone that I think if you did business in the 70s and 80s in the Philadelphia or Jersey area, basically outside of Atlantic City, you were going to have certain people that had their hands in what you do. It almost was like Donald Trump couldn't really build stuff without the mob. Now, I do believe Jerry Blavat was a little more connected than we might want to talk about. It's interesting to know that on the night that Greek mob boss Steve Boris was killed in Philadelphia, he was actually out to dinner with Jerry Blavat and Long John Martirano. And I did a video on Long John talking about his life. Jerry was at the table that night with the Greek mob boss, with people like Long John Martirano. And as I've said, I think many people, including me, believe that Long John set that up. The goal was to kill Steve Boris. Steve Boris was involved with P2P. Steve Boris was involved in other things. And Long John believed that by taking him out, it would be good for his business. And he was right. You also look at Jerry Blavat. I mean, he was very connected with Angelo Bruno, knew Angelo Bruno. His father was a bookmaker for Angelo Bruno. He also was very close with Nicky Scarfo. In fact, Scarfo's boat was actually purchased by Jerry Blavat. If you look at some of the Crime Commission reports as well, in 1990, New Jersey would post a Crime Commission report, and Blavat was very much listed in it in many different lights. I think it's obviously pretty much common knowledge that he was likely paying the street tax to somebody. You just weren't going to operate in South Jersey at the shore in Atlantic City in the 70s and 80s without paying it. And Jerry has a good business. Is he still connected to that world? I have no idea. Was he? I have no idea. But the interesting thing about the business that he was in is mobsters loved his place, right? And why wouldn't they? It's an old school place, a lot of good music. It was a good vibe. It was a place where, gangsters wanted to go hang out. And you could go in there last year. You could go in there in the 70s and the 80s, and you could see gangsters there. For me, I'm not someone that's in the streets, so I don't really.
Please just remember the stuff he's saying, because I'm going to play something else, and you're going to hear it word from word from the person who created it a couple days ago. You're going to be like, wow, it's crazy. He read it off the screen.
I don't have an affinity to any of these people, but you could go in there at any point and see a gangster. Joey Molino's been there many times. He's taken pictures there. You can see him there. He posts pictures. All the gangsters went there. That's just how it goes. There are certain members of.
Another thing I want to bring up. Nadu has been telling people that he's getting Joey Molino on a podcast. And he keeps telling all these people that. And hold on. I got it marked. Let's see. Let's see if that's true. We don't know, right?
I went to school not far from Larry Mazza, 94 to 97, used to fight the Italian kids and tell them there was no such thing as the mafia, LOL. I'm sure that was pretty funny and interesting. Do I think Agent Linda Vecchio as dirty as they say he was? Yes, I absolutely do. I think he should be in prison. Would you ever do anything on Frank Serpico? Wikipedia is a pretty good avenue for certain information, locations, birthdays, things like that. But I think you have to double source Wikipedia for sure. Where do I get my info? Different publications. I look at Capisci. He has an archive. He has some really good stuff, books, newspaper articles, indictments, old things like that for sure. And just really put it all together. But for me, I always shout out where I get my info.
Do you, Jeff? Do you?
If I do a video and I get some info from Gangland, I'm going to make sure I quote that in the description. I would tell anyone you should go get Gangland. I think it's a very good reference point and a good place to get info from. So it's funny, I should go through how many videos I have that there's no Wikipedia for anybody. Wikipedia I think is good, but you have to check the source, and go into some of the articles and things to understand.
You mean you got to go into other people's content. Now let's go check it out, shall we? Now what am I talking about? Bill, this can't be real. This can't be right. This isn't real. He wouldn't do that. Right? No way. Let's check it out. Now, this is the show. This is dated, let me see, 2 days ago. Now, Nadu's came out this morning, okay? Just to give you a little context. Heck of all trades, what's up, man? So, myself and OG, Big Sid on the run the YouTube prison yards, rent still. Don't worry, man, I got you, man. The envelope's in the mail, my friend. Doo-doo boy, we caught him in some pretty treacherous lies. So here we go. Let's get into it. Yeah, I don't think he knows what he's dealing with right now. Plagiarism is a very serious charge.
3rd of 1940 in Philadelphia, with a Jewish father and an Italian mother.
Oh, wait, let me clear up one more thing before we move on, because let me clear up the Merlino thing that Nadu was saying, so we don't get all sidetracked, right?
What's up, Bill Catolo? How are you, buddy? What's good?
There we go. It's coming.
How did Peter Pan get his nickname? I don't think he got it. And I don't think anyone calls it. I think that's more of a media type of thing. Do I think Agent Linda Vecchio as dirty as they say he was? Yes, absolutely.
It's coming.
I think he should be in prison.
You guys hear this?
Anything on Frank Serpico? I've actually been trying to interview Frank Serpico for a long time, but I never get a response. I'd love day one. I'd love to one day see a Nadu Merlino interview. I'd never say never. You never know.
But
if you get
Nadu is going around telling people, yes, it's gonna happen. So you guys heard what he said about Jerry Blavat, right? So let's get into this one.
Jerry Blavat would become one of Philadelphia's most famous celebrities. Jerry was responsible for much of the music scene, helping Frankie Valli get his first record deal and helping Dionne Warwick and so many others get traction in those early days. Jerry would get his start by appearing as a dancer on American Bandstand in 1952. He's widely was odd, and I remember my other friend, him, was just one of the coolest things ever, and I can't think. Really good guy, and to have the opportunity to.
This is cringy, but because this dude steals this dude's whole story. This is well-known information from the internet, Staxx. No, it's called plagiarism, my friend, Johnny 5. It's called plagiarism. When you take someone's content and use it word for word, it's called plagiarism. Did you know that copywritten material is called plagiarism, and it's a crime? And every show this dude does. So Canarsie will come out with a podcast about a certain mob content, and Nadu would come out with something a couple days later, maybe 3-4 days later. And he's been doing this for a while, and he's been warned. He's going on a paid platform, taking this information and making shows word for word. I mean, yeah, you can. I mean, if you use somebody's information, give them a shout out, put their link in the description. Don't use their whole video. There's ways to use other people's information with respect. There's other ways to disrespect people and take people's stories word for word, like you were there. So let me show you real quick. I can show you better than I can tell you. So hold up 1 second. Good thing I wrote it all down, huh?
Major part of mafia history, whether you like him or not, and his story. And you know, there were, I think, certain boundaries that I pretty much knew I couldn't get into. And I think when you conducting an interview, you have to have.
He's talking about Sammy. Hold on.
You have to have some ability where the person isn't just going to jump off, right? Because that wouldn't be good for anyone, right? You don't want to ask them a question where they're just going to get off. And there are people that I'm going to be around that maybe aren't as on the up and up, and there are plenty that paint him as this and that. But I think he just realized it was the cost of doing business. Do I think he was, something?
Kenneth, what's up, man?
I think he was no different than any other businessman who may have rubbed shoulders with gangsters. I think that's about all he was. One thing I do know is Jerry Blavat was a legend, and I know in my personal life I'll miss him greatly. I loved going to Memories, and I hope they continue to have it and keep it around. It won't ever be the same, but just a beautiful place. And if you're ever in Margate, head down there. Jerry won't be there, sadly, but it's a great place to go. And
tell us the story, Jeff.
I'll miss it. I hope they keep it open. All right, let's get back to the chat, and let me then get into my Sammy thoughts. But the interesting thing about I'll miss it. I'll miss Jerry more. But then once you get to 25, you don't really want that anymore. And you start going to Memories. That's where I went. And I always enjoyed on a Friday or Saturday night going to Memories. And Memories is a place that's hard to describe to people. It's really just a dance club. And Jerry has folks that look like this that go. And he has folks that may look like this, older, if you will. And I didn't mean to show Raymond Long John Martirano, but it's my first time catching you live. Well, thank you for watching, man. Robert Tobacco, but I saw your name. I believe I saw you in the Mikey Scars Patreon yesterday. And Jerry has folks that look like this that go. I get through his youth. And he really got into music very early on in his teens. And he would become very well known throughout Philadelphia, a DJ, a bon vivant, if you will. You'd always see him on the street. I saw him many times on the street, down Center City, on Market Street. He used to have an office, Geeter Gold Radio.
Tell us a story, Jeff.
You know, and I always remember one thing about Jerry Blavat. He knew everybody, everybody. When you walked into Memories, he would look at you and tell you where you're from, right? So I remember my mother and father, we'd go there. I remember we'd go in, and if he saw me, he would say Ocean City. I was Ocean City, right? I lived in the Gardens, right over the bridge from Margate, essentially. So Memories, I'm sure, will still be around, but it will be a lot different. And I'll miss it. I'll miss Jerry. He's someone we thought probably would live forever. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the interesting side of Jerry Blavat. As a lot of you know, you've probably heard his name come up in certain Cosa Nostra investigations. I want it to be made clear. It has never been proven that Jerry Blavat he's not a made member or anything. He was someone that I think if you did business in the 70s and 80s in the Philadelphia or Jersey area, basically outside of Atlantic City, you were going to have certain people that had their hands in what you do. It almost was like Donald Trump couldn't really build stuff without the mob. Now, I do believe Jerry Blavat was a little more connected than we might want to talk about. It's interesting to know that on the night that Greek mob boss Steve Boris was killed in Philadelphia, he was actually out to dinner with Jerry Blavat and Long John Martirano. And I did a video on Long John talking about his life. Jerry was at the table that night with the Greek mob boss, with people like Long John Martirano. And as I've said, I think many people, including me, believe that Long John set that up. The goal was to kill Steve Boris. Steve Boris was involved with P2P. Steve Boris was involved in other things. And Long John believed that by taking him out, it would be good for his business. And he was right. You also look at Jerry Blavat. I mean, he was very connected with Angelo Bruno, knew Angelo Bruno. His father was a bookmaker for Angelo Bruno. He also was very close with Nicky Scarfo. In fact, Scarfo's boat was actually purchased by Jerry Blavat. So you obviously look at some of the Crime Commission reports as well. In 1990, New Jersey would post a Crime Commission report, and Blavat was very much listed in it in many different lights. I think it's obviously pretty much common knowledge that he was likely paying a street tax to somebody. You just weren't going to operate in South Jersey at the shore in Atlantic City in the 70s and 80s without paying it. And Jerry has a good business. Is he still connected to that world? I have no idea. Was he? I have no idea. But the interesting thing about the business that he was in is mobsters loved his place, right? And why wouldn't they? It's an old school place, a lot of good music. It was a good vibe. It was a place where, gangsters wanted to go hang out. And you could go in there last year, you could go in there in the 70s and the 80s, and you could see gangsters there. For me, I'm not someone that's in the streets, so I don't have an affinity to any of these people. But you could go in there at any point and see a gangster. Joey Molino's been there many times. He's taken pictures there. You can see him there. He posts pictures. All the gangsters went there. That's just how it goes. There are certain members of the Philadelphia Mafia whose family works there. It's all just, and I think I've heard Jerry say this before. I think Jerry probably looked at his life as, this is just what I do. There are people that I'm going to be around that maybe aren't as on the up and up, and there are plenty of people that I'm around that are on the up and up. This is a guy who was close with Sammy Davis, Frank Sinatra, Dionne Warwick, very important people. But he was also someone that the gangsters wanted to be around too, because you knew when you went to his place, you were always going to be treated. There was never any nonsense, never a fight. I think if you asked the bouncers who had been with him forever, nothing. It's a greatly well-run place. Jerry just was a great guy, man, in every word. He was a nice dude. And, other than, maybe some nefarious connections, I know people want to paint him as this and that, but I think he just realized it was the cost of doing business. Do I think he was, something? No, I don't. I think he was no different than any other businessman who may have rubbed shoulders with gangsters. I think that's about all he was. One thing I do know is Jerry Blavat was a legend, and I know in my personal life, I'll miss him greatly. I loved going to memories, and I hope they continue to have it and keep it around. It won't ever be the same, but just a beautiful place. And if you're ever in Margate, head down there. Jerry won't be there, sadly, but it's a great place to go, and I'll miss it. I hope they keep it open. All right, let's get back to the chat, and let me then get into my Sammy thoughts.
Okay, right. You ready? Okay, now let's get to the original content.
Have a 10-minute conversation with him. Really good guy, and brings you here, where you're from, New York. Oh, your character is all about, and said just absolutely perfect. Because going to do the rest of the night. And I was like, I don't know. We might go over to Memories in Margate because I had never been there. And he says, oh, I'll take you over there. Jerry's a really good friend of mine. And we went over to the club and we sat there and had a couple of drinks and listened to the music. And it was interesting to watch Jerry work a crowd. He was very good at what he did. And the music selection was just absolutely perfect, because in this day and age, you really can't go anywhere and listen to that type of music. You know, just a lot of people don't play it. But there was Jerry at the DJ booth doing his thing. And he looked over and he obviously recognized my friend. And he stopped what he was doing and just walked down and said hello to my friend. And then my friend introduced us to him. And Jerry was one of the nicest. And like I said, I didn't know him. I only met him once. But first impressions really say everything about who a person is and what their character is all about. And, you know, we were introduced to him, and he was such a nice guy. Very gracious. What brings you here? Where are you from? New York. Oh, what are you guys doing down here? Well, I'm friends with him. Oh, good. He's a good guy, stand-up guy, you know, whatever. And any friend of his is a friend of mine. And he exchanged, you know, handshakes and whatever the case. And he was just a really, really good guy. And to have the opportunity to have a 10-minute conversation with him was just one of the coolest things ever. And I can't thank my friend enough for introducing me to him. But to watch Jerry sort of do his thing was odd. And I remember my other friend that I brought with me says, oh, you should get a picture with him. You know, this guy's super famous. But to me, it was more about just sharing a moment with the guy. You know, and Jerry was the type of guy. And like I said, I'm only basing this off of really only having a 10 or 15 minute conversation with the guy. Oh, where's your family from? How's your family? I mean, that's the way the guy was. Thank you very much for coming to my club. Thank you very much, you know, for being here. This was a guy who was gracious for people coming into his establishment, and it's a fantastic place. I wish I had stayed a little longer. I wish that I had gone back a little bit more, you know, but unfortunately, you know, there's never a timeline on somebody's life. But just based on the 10 to 15 minutes that I spent with him, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and one of the most stand-up guys you could ever meet. What? Despite the nefarious allegations that were levied against Jerry, this is a guy who I think said it best. I'm an entertainer. I do what I do. I meet a lot of people. I don't ask what they do for a living, as long as, and this is one of the greatest quotes, he says, as long as whatever business people I meet or involved in does not impede on my friendship with them or put me in a position, then we're fine. The minute it does, I break those contacts. So over the years, people have made just despicable allegations against the guy. For whatever reason, because, you know, you cannot be successful and not have somebody have a beef, have an issue, and make wild assertions and associations.
Word for word. You guys hear it here first.
And that's all.
Word for word.
They are. I can tell you just from my interaction with him, he was a great guy, and he's going to be missed. He is beloved in Philadelphia. And if I had one regret now, looking back, I wish I would have taken a picture of him with him. But to me, it was just a matter of meeting a guy. He's a legend.
What Jeff Nadu?
I like the same type of music he
Canarsie,
plays.
I forgot who was talking.
And it was a memory.
Holy shit. I forgot who was talking. Like, it's word for word. It's insane. Go look it up for yourself. The links are in the description of this video. It's the Jerry Blavat video, and there's plenty more. There's like every time Jeff Canarsie does a show, a couple days later, Jeff Nadu will do a show. Same topic, like same. I mean, maybe he thought he could get away with this type of shit, but you got to do your own work. Like, you can't just take other people's stuff.
Memories. That's essentially what it was. But like I said, I didn't know the guy. I still don't know the guy. I just had a conversation with the gentleman who was probably 79 or 80 at the time and still doing his thing. So I cannot thank my friend enough for introducing me to him. Great guy. And that will be one of the highlights of my life. But no matter what anybody could ever say about Jerry, he was beloved by everybody. His talent was remarkable. His dedication to music and showcasing talent making people smile and dance, is what mattered most to him. Just as music ran through every inch of his body, I cannot imagine that stopped this morning when the lights dimmed for the last time. With much success comes much scrutiny. But the one thing you can always and will always be able to say about Jerry is that he was kind and he was gentle and he was stand up. And he was very much Philadelphia, just as Philadelphia was very much of him. Legend and a friend to all.
Did that sound familiar, you guys? Did it? You tell me, did it sound a little familiar from what, I mean, I don't know. I'm asking you guys. I don't know. And there's some more things going around. I'm gonna get into them right now. Another thing, where did Nadu get his podcast from? Like, where did this all come from, right? I'll tell you where it came from. I could show you better than I can tell you. This is where Jeff Nadu's podcast derived from. He stole the name from George Anastasia in Philadelphia. He takes content from different content creators, makes it his own. Now, I know for a fact that these content creators are not going to stand for this, and there's probably going to be more coming out. Like, if I can find little ones then like that fast, then come on, man. It's terrible. Get your own work. Like, people work hard for this. Like Jeff Canarsie was saying, he puts in a lot of money to go look up different things, and he puts money into his product that he's putting out to people. And it's a paid subscription. So if it's a paid subscription, people should not be on there trying to make their own shows with it and put the information out there and make money off it on top of it. Other people's material. Like, so you got some explaining to do, Nadu. So if you guys like this content, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. There's a lot of good interviews coming, and you guys are going to be pretty shocked at the people that are going to be on. I'm excited. Let me show you a thing before I go. Shout out to Hector Camacho Jr. I appreciate you, man. I have it in here. Oh, yeah, it's right here. What's good, Boston Bruins? What's up, man? I'll be out in Boston probably in another month or two. I'll be up in Boston. I got some things to do out there. Going to be in Florida, Miami, New York, Miami. There's a bunch of different places I'm going to be going this year. It's going to be a great year. A lot of different places to be explored. Why can't I open this? What the hell's going on? What's good with everyone out there? Shout out to Jason Reinhardt. Shout out to Randy. Appreciate you guys. I got one. I got one I could play for you. It's already in there. So enjoying life. Definitely, man. When you coming back to Minnesota? Never. I'm good with Minnesota, bro. Cold ain't for me. I'm all set. Let's listen to this track. So I'm going to be dropping some music really soon, and the book is almost done.
Do you hear me? You hear me? It's my fault. I don't know what to do anymore. Do you love me? Do you love me? It's my fault. It's my fault. I chose this road to walk. I don't know what else to do. Just please forgive me. Please forgive me. Everywhere I go, everywhere I look now, I feel like somebody's trying to get me took out. My whole family turn their back on me. It's like, where's the love? Cause I'm back on the streets. As I cry another tear, asking why am I here? I let the rain hit my face and it's finally clear. I wake up from the daydreaming. I ain't got no money, I stay hungry, so I gotta stay scheming. I don't even wanna breathe or take another breath, cause I hate this life. This is me at my best. Wild life, I'ma lay it to rest. I say goodbye now. My daughter, I love her. Without her, I'm a wild out. Just remember, I'm the first and not the last to come to. You my baby, I love you. Just remember, I'm the first and not the last to come to. You my baby, and daddy loves you. I think about the coffin often. You love me? I think about the pain. I think I hear God calling. He's calling out my name. And I just keep falling. I keep falling away.
Yeah, that's me.
Tell me why I keep stalling. I got something to say. Baby girl, they could never take you away from me. You in my arms, you safe for the day. I pray that everything will be okay. I know it will for real. You gotta keep your faith. It's an untold story and I tell it now. I know one day you're gonna really make me proud. I am the luckiest man alive, cause you're the only reason that I try to survive. I strive, admire the great, but the plans that I make always seem to backfire in my face. Black tie at my wake, don't cry at my wake. Just remember me for who I was and the steps I'm trying to take. Finally I see death is eyeing me and the person that I'm trying to be. When I breathe, hold it in, let it out. I'm not dead now, disappointed, head in the clouds. I'm really stressed out. I think about the coffin often. I think about the pain. I think I hear God calling. He's calling out my name. And I just keep falling. I keep falling away. Tell me why I keep stalling. I got something to say.
Yo, rest in peace to Ryan. He made this beat. And drug addiction's crazy, man. If you're struggling with drug addiction, just know that there is help out there. You can do it. But I appreciate all of you. And I'm going to be dropping a whole lot of music. I have probably 1,000 songs already recorded that you don't know about. But I appreciate all of you, and things are going to be, you guys are going to be like, wow, when you see who I got coming on. First is Hector Camacho Jr. And you guys will see. It's going to be good. So if you guys like this kind of content, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. And I can promise you one thing, you will always get original content over here. Peace.